Hey guys, it's your boy M.K.S here, back in another video. For once, I'm drinking water to be healthy. It's another goal I have, which I think I forgot to mention in some of my previous videos. Like I don't know sure if I mentioned it or not, but I hope to, even though I don't like the taste of it, I hope to drink more water and push myself to have more veg and fruit and things like that. But anyway, this video is really inspired by the situation between China and Taiwan, as I mentioned in the description. But it's also about a union or alliance or whatever you want to call it, a committee, think tank, brainstorm, whatever you want to call it, between all the different Asian nations as much as possible, as many Asian nations as possible, which I hope to be held or hosted in Central Asia, which will be symbolically a connecting point between all the Asian nations. I hope. Well, that's one of my main dreams. Anyway, yeah, as I say, the situation between China and Taiwan made me want to make an updated version or whatnot, yeah, basically to cover these videos. But yeah, I hope you check out part one if you haven't already done so, and look out for part 3 when it comes along. But here goes. So number 11, I dream to, as I say, bring together all the Asian nations as much as possible and celebrate things like Asian inventors, ideas people, entrepreneurs, investors, encourage investment into Asian nations. Central Asia also, in hosting these Pan-Asian events and groups, could also talk about how to encourage investment into Asia. Again, how to encourage people to invest in Asian entrepreneurs, inventors, and things like that. And also celebrate historical Asian inventors or even current Asian inventors, and like help more Asians to become inventors and entrepreneurs and whatnot in the future. Number 12, again, I hope to encourage Asians as much as possible and like encourage the hashtag proud to be Asian, again, but proud but not arrogant. It could be, or hashtag, it could be perhaps hashtag proud to be Asian but not arrogant in brackets. Sorry, I don't know why I did speech marks, but anyway, there could be all sorts of hashtags like that or slogans. I'd love to hear, again, as ever, in the suggestions, as often say, any suggestions you have for like slogans or how you think Asians could be brought together or whatnot. Sorry, just trying to sit up straight as well to keep my back straight. But yeah, I hope my voice is clear enough, as I often say. Number 13, I hope that they will address some of the issues facing Asia, like illnesses, diseases, natural disasters, division, or things like that. Number 14, I hope they will solve these problems together. Like if there are illnesses, diseases, natural disasters, or things like that, I hope Asian scientists will work together, maybe even with other scientists from Africa and elsewhere, will work together again through Egypt, because it's symbolically between Asia and Africa as a transcontinental country in this case. But in terms of Asian nations working together, again, Central Asia hopefully will host all these events as much, or not all of them, but hopefully the majority of them. They could be hosted in different Asian nations, but mainly in Central Asia, symbolically, again, because it's central. For one thing, those events would be easier for nations from northern and southern Asia and east and west to sort of connect and meet together. So it would be a compromise. Also mainly symbolically, it's sort of the central point which could bring together hopefully all of Asia and again resolve disputes and solve problems together, or solving all sorts of problems. And like in the unfortunate event, if an Asian nation, unfortunately again Taiwan went through, and I think Japan went through natural disasters, unfortunately recently, and Pakistan as well, even parts of India as well. And I think if they could put their rivalries aside and talk about ways to come together and tackle those problems and help the people going through those problems, even if they can't prevent them, they could at least, if they can't prevent or cure them, they could at least work on how ways to mitigate, or whatever the word is, limit basically, or the negative impact of such. But yeah, basically solving problems together, put it simply. Another strength dyslexic people are good at, which I haven't talked about, which I think Asian nations, they are more academic, so I have to mention they're more academic, so they might not think of people with ADHD or dyslexia or conditions like that as having strengths, and they're more conformist. But if they see that people with autism as well have many strengths in certain areas, hopefully they'll treat people with learning disabilities better and also know how to utilize the strengths of such people to solve problems. Number 15, I'd love to hear from Asians about their ambition and how, as individuals, I know I talked in part 1, point number 5, on how Asians could talk about their Asian nations could talk about what their goals are, like the governments, even businesses in those countries, organisations, associations, and things like that. I sort of briefly touched on that, or basically that the governments themselves. I suppose I mentioned that it could be organisations and associations as well, but also individuals, like helping young people, young boys and girls, and look at how to like support girls' education in Asia in different areas, like even learning about politics and business and areas like that. Number 16, I hope to discuss again through committees and think tanks, brainstorms and whatnot, whatever you want to call them. I suppose I use those terms interchangeably, but a group of people basically coming together and saying what are the best ways to benefit Asia, basically. Number 17, I hope to celebrate Asian artists. I know I mentioned that before, but yeah, creativity, inventions, imaginations, ideas, stories, films, books, and all sorts of things that came out of Asia. I say like things like films from Japan and China and India and all over Asia, basically, and I say all sorts of things that have been made, hashtag made in Asia and that sort of thing. And yeah, that's basically to look at what's been made from Asia and came out of Asia, being created, made, created, or whatever in Asia. Also, Asian YouTubers and social media producers, I hope they'll help each other because hopefully they can help, maybe help their economies, like give each other views and support generally on social media and things like that. And just generally network together and look at the best ways, again, to benefit each other. Number 18, I hope for Asians talk about positive things, or people generally talk about positive things about Asia, what they think are positives about, say, even tourists saying positive things about different parts of Asia, like Thailand or places like that, like positive places they've been to, like India or places like that. Like if people are nice or their food's nice or whatever it is that they like about those countries. Maybe even some of the things they don't like, which they can improve upon, but also like the good, the bad, and the ugly as well. But mainly, hopefully, the positives, and also Asians themselves to say positive things about each other. And again, in Central Asia, hopefully, if they host these events, they can encourage different Asian nations to say what's positive about each other. Number 19, I think, again, a peaceful Asia that's more united could grow even faster, because people might say Asian nations are growing fast and selling things and developing their economies from what the positions they were, and they have great ideas and imagination, or talent at least, or smartness. They're very good academically and things like that, and smart, basically generally. But I think if they work together, they can achieve even more. And again, like they might think of things like dyslexia or ADHD or autism as weaknesses, or people are different as weaknesses. But hopefully, they will see the strengths, learn to see the strengths in those sort of things, or learn about the strengths in those sort of things as well. And that sort of thing. Number 20, again, I hope to help the young people across Asia. Like, unfortunately, there was a scandal with this charity, but they had like Plan International. But I think something like that, if it actually worked and was checked properly, and people made sure there wasn't any abuse going on, that's another thing. Like helping children, like protecting children, and looking after children and nature and animals and things. I hope Asian nations will come together to do that, to ensure that they make life better for animals and human beings, and also especially younger people and disadvantaged people with disabilities as well, and especially, as I say, young people, and like the elder people can teach what they know to younger people, so young people can perhaps learn things like how to set up businesses and things like that. I think that covers everything for now, and I am out. Peace out.